The odds of DeMarco Murray even touching 1,500 yards next year.
Depending on who team he's on.
Very true.
It's depending where he's at. You never know.
So this is a question that we got to say until we figure out
exactly March 10th.
March 10th.
We'll figure everything out.
All right, J.J. Watt is your unanimous defensive player of the year.
No doubt.
20.5 sacks, 44 hits on the quarterback, 55 hurries, 61 stops, and batted 10 passes. The guy, and he also had some touchdowns. Safety and...
he's the only player to have defensive touchdown, offensive touchdown, and a safety in the history of football. All in one season.
Hey, man, if Jadeveon Clowney can come back a lot.
Jadeveon Clowney will never come back and will never be as good as everybody thinks he is because he's an injury bug waiting to happen. And he has no heart. You heard me say it. Jadeveon Clowney has no heart.
Look, Mark,
and I'm glad we didn't draft him here.
You're thankful for that, huh?
I'm thankful that he did not fall. Because we would have drafted him and then we'd be up Poop Creek having a guy. We've already had people kind of like him that just doesn't live up and is never going to be able to live up to such high standards. When you can't stay on the football field, you're never going to be able to do it. And I said when he was in South Carolina, he started coming up with these injuries and stuff. I said they're going to go right into the NFL and he's going to keep getting hurt. Sure enough, this year he couldn't even stay on the field.
I tell you what, if he able to stay on the field and meet some kind of potential, it would be at least help J.J. Watt out a little bit on that other side.
But he's never going to be what he was in college. He's never going to be what he was in college because of all the injuries he's had now. Both knees. Blah. Something else. Blah. Something else. Blah. He's never going to be that explosive dude that you see in college. He's never going to be able to transfer it back in. Actually, you really only seen it in a few plays in college. It wasn't like he was all the time go, drilling. He was only doing it at certain points in time. You never seen a full game out of Jadeveon Clowney. Never.
Gotcha. All right, on to the offensive rookie of the year, Odell Beckham. He ended up winning it. He had 91 receptions for 1,305 yards and 12 TDs. And I know we have another guy at the panel who usually come on. John is going to debate this till he blue in the face. But what you think about his award? And
Odell Beckham got it because he plays in New York, and he made a bunch of pretty catches. And he led all the rookies in yards. That's why he won it.
So the flair was pretty much there.
Exactly. The flair, the hype, the Twitter exposure, the social media going nuts, just making random pictures of him on the 16th Chapel. That's why he won it.
Does Mike Evans got a legitimate case for being Offensive Rookie of the Year or having some, at least, I mean, of course he got votes on that. I know he was second in voting here, but
there's a few guys that had Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean,
legitimate cases to it.
Teddy
Bridgewater.
True.
Had a legitimate case. He won the Pepsi Rookie of the Year award. Yeah, they had some legitimate guys that had other cases. Mike Evans, of course, didn't have poop throwing him the ball and still did what he did. Kelvin Benjamin looked phenomenal during the year. Mm-hmm. He had his drops, but once you got into a certain point, that ball was going to him and he was coming down with it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of guys that deserve it, but if any of those guys would have won it, I'd have been okay with it. But I'm okay with Odell Beckham. But New York, you have to factor New York and all the pretty stuff he did. So.
All right. Yeah.
He made the most O plays.
Which he got Player of the Year, by the way, with the one-handed touchdown. So.
Grimes' one-handed catch was better. Because he plays defensive back.
Yeah.
Those guys don't make those kind of catches.
On the flip side,
there's usually a reason why they play defensive backs is because they don't really have the good hand.
Yeah. All right, on the flip side of the ball, Defensive Rookie of the Year is Aaron Donald, played for the Rams, defensive tackles, 9 sacks, 6 QB hits, and 29 hurries. Other rookies that could have been looked at as far as that was named was C.J. Mosley, Khalil Mack. Your thoughts on the award? the Rams had a solid, great defense, front seven anyways. So they said it was no prize that this guy was going to be in the running for it because he won a lot of defensive awards in college. So they feel like going forward, Aaron Donald can be a force in the league.
How many tackles did Khalil Mack have all year? I'm curious. I'm curious.
You're still not still on Khalil Mack, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm kind of curious.
Let's see, Khalil Mack. Let's take a look. Khalil Mack stats.
Let's see what Khalil Mack did.
Don't go there.
Oh, it was Buffalo.
The Buffalo. Okay, so we look for Camille.
Hit right there.
Go to Raiders.
Hit right
stats.
there. Not there. Yeah, there. That'll work. Let's see. So he had.
Let's see. Total tackles. Complete stats.
Yeah, do the complete stats.
So yeah, I want to say total tackles. He had 59 tackles, assisted on 16.
And so 75 tackles.
Combined,
do me a favor.
One forced fumble.
Now he got consideration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go do me a favor. Google Telvin Smith. Now this is what teased me off about this kind of crap. This is what teased me off. Tell me how many tackles he had. 104.
72 total tackles and 32 assists, 104 total.
1 forced fumble.
1 interception.
2 fumble returns. 1 interception. 4 pass defenses. Where was all these stats with Khalil Mack? But this guy got no consideration at all whatsoever. Your defensive rookie of the year is Telvin Smith. He got robbed. A guy getting 9 sacks. This guy had 104 tackles. He had 104 tackles, interceptions, fumble returns, yards, tackles for loss. He had every single thing. But yet he got gypped. He had a game where he made 15 tackles. He had another game where he had 13 tackles. But you want to know why? Much like the reason Mike Evans didn't do it, he plays in Jacksonville. Mike Evans didn't win because he plays in Tampa.
So not enough exposure is what you're saying?
Exactly.
So this is one of those where we'll be looking back a few years from now and then seeing, Telvin Smith doing pretty good. And they're like, oh, where'd this guy come from? And you like...
Oh, I don't know. He only had 107 tackles his rookie year. It's amazing.
Mind-boggling,
it's just amazing that he got no consideration for it.
Yeah, none. I pulled it up and I didn't
He had 3 sacks.
No mention of him.
From the linebacker position, and not even a mention. Whatever.
Let's move forward before we have Kevin blow ahead, guys.
Well, they always say stats mean everything. Stats. His influence upon the Jaguars defense was bar none. You could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you went to a ball game, you heard his name getting called. Every time you watched a Jaguar game, you heard his name getting called. He was always around the football. Khalil Mack, I didn't hear his name that much when you watched the Oakland Raider game. C.J. Mosley, I didn't hear his name that much when you watched the whoever game. When you watched the Ram game, I didn't hear Aaron Donald except for the 9 times he sacked somebody. But yet I heard Telvin Smith's name 104 times. Whatever.
All right, let's move forward here for Kevin.
Not even getting a mention. A mention.
Yeah. No, that drives you nuts, man.
It's because it's here.
Yeah.
Just wait. Pretty soon, people will be talking.
All right, let's talk about Ron Gronkowski comeback player of the year.
Called it.
Beautiful award for that. We really don't have to go into detail about that. He deserves every bit
Called
of it.
that.
And you can see what his impact is on the field. Hence, Super Bowl this year for New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
So, none that. All right, we'll go on to
Comeback player of Mortal Kombat as well.
Yeah. Football Hall of Fame class of 2005. You got Junior Seau, Tim Brown, Jerome Bettis,
Poop.
Charles Haley, Will Shields. You got contributors Bill Polian and Ron Wolf. And then center Mick Tingerloff.
Bless you. Tingerloff.
All right. I mean, that's a class there that you had. I mean, we all know that these guys are eligible, so they'll get in eventually. But was there some people that you thought they should have? Could you think of some? What's the guy who missed out?
Yeah. Kurt Warner got completely looked over, and then his tackle got completely left over. Mm-hmm. One of the supposed greatest tackles ever to play the game,
Mr. Pace, right?
And you look him over. Yeah. You looked him over. For who? Jerome Bettis. The only reason he's a Hall of Fame player is because of the jersey he wore. You put him on a different team, no one would think. Did you ever look at Jerome Bettis when he was playing football and think he was a Hall of Fame talent, or did you think he was a really good football player?
I thought he was a pretty good football player.
Who would you rather have in their prime? Terrell Davis, who's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but had great years for his short term, or Jerome Bettis in his prime? Who would you rather have in their prime?
TD's more exclusive than he is. I mean, Jerome Bettis did it with power, but...
Who would you rather have in their prime? Fred Taylor in his prime or Jerome Bettis?
Fred Taylor, but like you said, this is where he was in Jacksonville not getting enough recognition.
Thank you. It's because of what you were wearing on your jersey. If you would have switched places, Fred Taylor would be in the Hall of Fame right now and not Jerome Bettis, because Jerome Bettis would have played in Jacksonville. A lot of these things, Tony Baselli should be in the Hall of Fame.
Which a lot of people actually I talked to around
Tony Baselli should be in the Hall of Fame. No one could do anything against Tony Baselli. The great players that are in the Hall of Fame couldn't do anything against Tony Baselli. But yet for years he's going to get gypped out of it. And he probably will never make it in when he is more than deserving. Just because he had a short career and where his career was. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Smith. On the all-time leading pass catcher thing. Ahead of guys that are making it into the Hall of Fame now. He's ahead of them. Why will he want to make it in? Well, because of his problems. But if he didn't have the problems, because he played in Jacksonville. It's a
little bit of politics.
It's what jersey you wore. It's what jersey you wore if you get into the Hall of Fame. And like you said, most of these guys will get on it eventually because of their stuff, but some of these guys, you really look at them and scream over their career that they were a Hall of Fame guy. Jerome Bettis played for way longer than he should have. And was able to pad his stats some more. And was able to get high enough on the list to where he got into the Hall of Fame.
He walked out on top with a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, that one.
All right. We'll move a little bit forward.
But all the rest of them, like Charles Haley, definitely. Mm-hmm. He has the most Super Bowl 49ers and Cowboys. He definitely deserved to be in. They said the reason he didn't go in early is because he was a douche. That's the reason he didn't go in early. Junior Seau, more than deserving. Yep. More than deserving.
Tim Brown.
Brown finally.
Awesome.
Finally made it in.
Receiver.
Finally made it in.
Watching him play against my Broncos. Tim Brown's one heck of a player.
Will Shields, very good guard. Yeah. They don't get enough. Some of those guys don't get enough credit. Mm-hmm. Those interior linemen, usually they don't get a lot of credit. Bill Polian built two different teams.
Yeah.
To contenders. So yeah, not very bad. I just have a bias against people just making it because of their jersey.
Gotcha. All right, let's transition a little bit over to NBA. We'll talk a little bit. They have picked their all-star reserves.
Switch. Now football's over.
So, all-star East reserves goes like this. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Jeff Teague, Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, Paul Millsap.
Why didn't they just put the Hawks?
Pretty much. The West reserves, James Harden, Klay Thompson, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Tim Duncan.
So little. Look the little people.
Yeah.
Except for Tim.
So, it comes up here who's got snubbed. name some names to kind of get you familiar here. We got Kyle Korver, Brandon Knight, Kevin Love, Nikola Vucevic, Derrick Rose,